Welcome to another episode of Glorious Life on Wheels. Today, I am in a beautiful park. This is a place where most people come to just spend time in nature, listening to the birds call out to each other. But for others, like 67-year-old Arline, this is where she comes to get a break from parking on the streets at night. It is where she comes to use the bathroom, and it is also where she comes to cook her meals. Because you see, she's a homeless veteran, and she doesn't have a kitchen, or a regular roof over her head, or a place where she can lay down and put her head to rest every night. This, despite serving our country honorably as a member of an airborne unit. So when she has to cook her meals, she prays that it won't be inclement weather so she can come out and cook her meals over an open barbecue on her small little grill. What amazes me most about Arline is her resilience and her positive attitude. Despite being a veteran who was injured on the job and being denied disability status by the VA, despite having to live in her SUV as she waits for the VA to provide housing for her, she still says she's grateful to the VA and appreciates the medical treatment she's received from them. She says she's holding strong and believes they will come through for her.
Couldn't find plates, so this will have to do. Come with me.
As I prepared to interview Arline, I met another senior who lives in his car who is cooking his dinner in the park. I just can't imagine how our government allows this to happen and doesn't do anything to fix it. But you know what? Come on, let's go ahead and we're going to talk to Arline and get a little bit of her story. Well, hello, Arline. How is it going?
Okay, hanging in there. Thank you.
So, I met you a few weeks back and learned that you're living in your vehicle, but you're also a senior and a veteran. It's just hard to imagine how a veteran who served your country, and weren't you in jump school? You
Yes.
were airborne?
Yes.
Out of Fort Bragg.
Yes.
And that was in the 80s, which that was quite unusual, wasn't it, at that time for women to be an airborne?
Yes, it was, but thanks to President Reagan, he opened a lot of MOS's jobs to women at the time.
You know, I think most people don't know that. I didn't know that you were saying that many of the jobs that were restricted that women couldn't have, President Reagan actually opened up for women to be eligible to go into those positions?
Correct.
Wow. Yeah. But let's get back to your story. So you left there. We're not going to go into all the details, but your dad was ill. And also there were some really serious things happening against women at the time at Fort Bragg. And maybe we'll talk about that in another video. But you were saying that you were really fearful for your safety at the time. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so you have had a journey. So you were trained and worked many years as a mechanic, as an apartment manager for over a decade, and counselor for families and children. So you've been gainfully employed for all of your adult life.
Yes.
Okay.
And I've enjoyed it quite a bit.
So the question so many people will ask is, how did you happen to turn out to be homeless now, living in your SUV?
Well, it's usually a series of problems that happen to people, including myself. I had an accident, a slip and fall. I broke my arm severely at an angle, and it's taken quite some time, over a year, for it to heal. I had to have major surgery. I have a scar that goes from about my armpit to almost my elbow, and they put a plate and a couple of screws in there. But also the impact injured my legs and hip, ankles. So it's been difficult. And since when a person can't work, they can't pay the rent or other bills that they might have, even phone.
Right.
And everything kind of piles up after a while.
Just so people can get a chronology of what happened, you were living in California, managing a building, and you have worked, as we said, your entire adult life. But then the building was sold and you moved back to New York to stay with family and help out. And you were working there, but you were injured when you had a fall, as you were explaining to me. And you were in a rural area in New York, and the problem was getting health care is a challenge in a rural area. So you came back to California to seek health care from VA. And that's where things kind of went off kilter. You sought care from the VA in La Jolla. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yes, they were the ones that performed my surgery. And prompts to Dr. Gerard. He's a great guy.
Okay.
And
you said
a social worker came to visit, and I explained my situation, and she said that I was technically still homeless because from 2016 on, I haven't been on any kind of rental agreement or lease. So I explained that I really need to live in an area that's not as treacherous with the snow. And
so that's why you decided to stay here in California?
Yes.
And also the challenge, and I was talking to the gentleman over here who I spoke with briefly, but he doesn't want to go on camera. He was saying he's having a challenge getting a first floor unit because he can't navigate stairs. And that's the same challenge you're having because you were injured in the military, and a lot of those injuries are coming back to haunt you now.
Yes, absolutely. It's been 40 years. It's hard to believe,
but those injuries are causing your physical condition to deteriorate.
Yes, and I also need a downstairs as well. And so many places here don't even have an elevator.
Right.
I don't understand how they can function that way. I know it's cheaper, must be cheaper.
Right.
So I've been looking since I've been back here in the hopes of finding a place, that, preferably downstairs.
Now, when you say you're looking, are you looking for a place so you can tell them, I found a place, and you can use your...
Yes, they give you a sheet of information with the various zip codes and how much veterans program will pay a month rental to those areas. And that's what I've been doing, is looking in certain areas and then seeing if they are suitable. Because some places said, well, we'll rent to you now, but it's upstairs.
Yeah, so and that won't work for you?
No, not on a daily basis. I already tried it at this housing place that they had us in.
Okay, and it just didn't work. So...
Too painful. And they didn't have walk-in shower either.
So now you were in transitional housing. Did the VA find that for you?
They gave me a list.
And so you
places.
researched it?
Yes.
Okay, and you found transitional housing, but then the program that you were in got defunded.
Not completely, but scaled back quite a bit.
So you had to move from the place you were in. And you were told to go to another city, but they didn't have a first floor there.
Correct.
And you would basically have been a prisoner. You couldn't go up and down. You didn't have, that's, oh my. So what is your status now, Arline?
Well, I'm just waiting for my application to be approved. I kind of feel like I'm at JFK waiting for permission to land, just circling and circling.
Oh my goodness. You know, a friend of mine recently did a video, and a veteran actually passed in his vehicle. Well, he passed living in his vehicle for 2 years waiting for housing from VA.
Yes.
And, you have to
I've heard of that so many times. We even have a saying Deny, delay until I die.
Wow.
Came from the Vietnam era.
Oh my goodness.
Agent Orange, they kept denying their claims as well.
Another thing that's been a problem is you were sharing the VA has been denying your disability status from
Yes.
your injuries in the military?
Yes, they've denied me 4 times now in the time I've been in California. Now I have my medical record, so they can't say that this didn't happen because they kept claiming that they had no record of this happening.
How can they have no record, but you are able to get the records?
Exactly.
So a solo person
Mm-hmm.
can figure out how to get the records,
Mm-hmm.
but a government agency can't figure out how to get the records showing you were injured in the military.
I think they're backlogged terribly, and they don't have enough people to process these claims.
Wow.
That's the first thing they need to do, is hire more people.
Well, the first thing they need to do is prioritize veterans
Yes.
and say, we're going to do what we need to do to get you the help. We're not going to delay until, like you say, people die waiting for help.
Let's hope. Every day is a struggle for veterans, especially when you get older.
Absolutely.
We have, last statistics, 17, 18 people, veterans, a day dying from suicide.
Oh, wow.
And it's no wonder, you know.
Yeah.
When you have very little to eat, nowhere to live, stay clean, it's very difficult, especially since you've been in the military, you've been respected before.
And you served your country.
Yes.
And you did it honorably.
Yes. And
Wow.
cheerfully.
Wow. So you're waiting and you just live in your SUV while you
Yes.
wait.
Yes.
Any word on any idea how long it's going to take before they get you a place on the first floor?
I don't know. I've called different places and I'm on a waiting list. So hopefully the next month or two, something will work out.
And I'll be making some calls also to see if I can get some answers for you. But you know what? Why don't we go ahead and just take a brief look at where you're living. You, a 67-year-old solo female veteran who served your country. Let's look at where you're living right now. So this is where you're living right now?
Yes, it is.
And you're sleeping in the middle seat? I'm not going to, you asked me not to take a picture of the inside of your van, so I won't, or your SUV, but you're sleeping in the middle row?
Yes.
I can't imagine that's very comfortable.
It's better than being out in the street.
It is, but I don't even know what to say to that. And you've been sleeping in here for how long?
Since April 16th.
So you know the exact date, so over a month now. All right, waiting for the VA to get you a place.
Yes.
Hopefully they will get one soon, and I'm going to keep everyone posted on what's happening with you and what I find out, because I'm going to make some calls to the VA and see myself what's happening. But thank you for taking the time and sharing your story, and thank you for your service to our country. And I'm so sorry that our country has not treated you better and honored more the sacrifices and the duty that you did in serving us. I'll see you next time.
Thank you for caring.
I do, and I know that my viewers do too. Thank you very much. Hopefully I'll be able to give you a report soon that Arline found housing.